Just remember to start recording this. What I'm doing here is trying to get this this bolt unstuck from the GT40 heads. This bolt commonly gets broken off whenever you're taking off the intake, and has a little bit of a nub sticking out. So before I take it to a machine shop, I'm going to give it my best effort to remove it. It could save me a little money. I'm trying not to do any damage to it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to weld a bolt to the end of it and try to work it out back and forth. And I'm using a flux core actually, so this is no gas, there's no MIG on this. And that's why I have everything kind of covered up so the splatters don't go everywhere. And I have went ahead and started to put a puddle to build up the threads, build up the bolt to a point where I can put a bolt on it and turn it, because this actually goes in at an angle and it's not flat, so I can't just put a bolt right there because that would not the angle is not that way, it's more like that. So I had to build it up a little bit to so I can get that, I can turn it back and forth. Alright, so I tacked the first weld in there just to get it set, and it should be good. So now I'm going to fill it in, get it nice and hot, and let it cool down. Okay, so I have filled in the top. I think I'm pretty happy with that, at least to try it out. So here's the view after I took off all of the protection. Seems like it did a good job. Maybe a little bit right there, but it should come off. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and put some penetrating oil, since I went through a couple of heat cycles down there and then the bottom, and then I'll start trying to working it back and forth. Well, here it is. But it doesn't, I'm not trying to force it, but I feel the top kind of giving a little bit. And I don't want to break this nut off this, so I'm going to put some welds underneath, right about there. Try to give it some more strength, because this thing is doesn't budge. Here's the bottom side. Oops, sorry for the shake. So I'm going to put some PB Blaster in there and let it soak as well. Okay, so there's my booger weld on the bottom. Maybe I'll try one more around there, and then I'll retry it. Alright, so I've welded the bottom part, and it kind of deformed the shape of the head, so I'm using some vice grips, and it is still stuck on there really good. Well, it did not work, but it was worth the try. So it pretty much broke off exactly where I started the weld. That's not exactly on top of where I started, but it's pretty close. And but these things are really stuck in there pretty good. And whenever it wouldn't budge, you know, going back and forth. And I didn't really try real hard to as far as force, just trying to work it back and forth. And then once I tried to give a little bit of force, you could feel it start to give away. I decided to try again since looking out there on the internet, it looks like sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get this out. So I figured I got time. I'm not in a hurry. All right, so I let it cool down, and I did the old compressed air trick where you to cool it down. And I think I got it to move. No, so it's not the bolt that's moving, it's just my weld. So let's see. So it's about to come loose again. And there it goes. Boo. So this time my weld was better, but it the bolt's weak, can't break the bond. So yeah, there it is. Okay, I'm not giving up on it. So I'm gonna try it with a bolt, a grade 8 bolt, and I tack welded. And if you could see, the bolt is tapered at the end so that I can put some good weld to it. Here we go. I welded to the block a little bit. Let me file that off. And cooled it down. And then I came back and chased it with a socket on there. I'm going to put an impact wrench. I got a pretty weak impact. Actually, the impact gun's good. My compressor is really weak. And but actually that's what I want, so that I can just, you know, tap it out. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera. And my weld broke. Oops. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and we'll try again. Alright, so I got it back to kind of where I started, but I could tell that I did weld to the head over here. So that didn't help, that's for sure, because I had to use a little bit of a grinder to get that off. You can see that little bubble there. I'm not too concerned about the outside edge, since this is the one that seals. So I'm going to try it again and try not to weld it to the head. Okay, so I built it back up. So now that it's above the, I can grab it with some, probably some vice grips. But what I'm going to do, instead of putting the bolt on, I'm going to heat and cool it. So I'm going to heat cycle it and cool it. I'm going to heat it, cool it, hammer, heat it, cool it, hammer, and then let it rest, and then try it again. Alright, so it's cooled down, and now for this next heat cycle I'm actually putting some candle wax down in there, just to, you know, try every single method. So I'm gonna heat this up with the torch, try to get it red, and then knock on it with a hammer, and then let it cool down again. Alright, so now it is cooled off all the way, and it's a cool evening, so it's around it's 43, it's probably around 50 in the garage. But I see some movement now. So I'm not sure, let's see. I think it's starting to move. So I'm not sure if it was the candle wax, which I doubt, but it might be, maybe. But I heat cycled it, you know, got it pretty much as red as I could, and tapped on it, or banged on it with a hammer, and then let it cool down again, and then did the same thing. PB Blaster. Definitely moving, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe if this is going to be it. But all right, I'm going to keep working on it and get back to you. So I flipped it over just to see if I could see any movement on the back of it, and yes, there is. So it is definitely broken loose, which is great. So that is definitely progress. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep moving it slowly, because I don't want to just take it off and break my weld again. Alright, so it's still the same night. I think I can get it out tonight, so I'm going to just keep on working on it. So oops. So it's becoming a lot looser now. So this is what I'm just doing. I'm just slowly working it back in. So keep on working it out, and this black stuff just keeps on coming out. So I'm guessing that's the carbon or whatever it was sticking, or all the gunk that it was keeping it all stuck. So almost there. It's coming out. So was the missing piece the candle wax? I tried everything I could, and I kept on that one broke off. You saw that. Before that, I had one of these broke off. Each time I was doing it, I was heat cycling it and putting the PB Blaster in there and letting it cool down. But on this one, I added this freaking candle wax in there, and I added candle wax before I heated it up, and then when of course I torched it and got that almost red. It was really hard to get it fully cherry red, like because I only have a map gas. And after it got pretty hot, I'd get the candle and I would put it on there, and it'd melt on down in the bottom, very thin. So maybe it got in there. I don't know. But and then I cooled it off. Like I said, it's about 55 degrees in here, and that's pretty much what it cooled down to. And then when I came back out here, I put on the vice grips, and it moved. Of course, I'm missing out. I also forgot to mention that I had a hammer. Pounded to see how flat that is. That's from the hammer I was beating on it. Not tons hard, but I was giving it some good blows to break that bond wherever that was. So now I need to clean that out and run a tap through it, and yeah, wow, glad I didn't have to drill it out, because I am terrible at drilling. 5/16 18, I believe. Now I'm going to run that down and back. Okay, cleaned it out. I'll test it out with the bolt. GT40's 3 bars will live again. So after cleaning out the bolt, I was trying to figure out what was, what was causing it to be stuck in there. And you can see the bottom half of the bolt looks pretty clean, and then you see the dark spot, and then you see my weld. And I thread chased it all the way up, and now it actually threads in fine, but in that black part was pretty much like carbon, and I'm guessing that's what was the sticking point. And it's carbon because I was heating it up so much and just baking whatever was in there, which maybe was a little bit of rust, or I don't know what it was, or antifreeze, whatever. I think heating it up to kind of like a cherry red and then banging on it with a hammer, and then cooling it down, and then doing the same thing, and then also heating it up and banging on the hammer actually strengthened this weld and letting it cool down, because this thing is a lot stronger than my previous welds that were, let me grab one of them, that were failing. Air bubbles in there. Typical flux core problems. But I think heating it up, banging on it with a hammer, letting it cool down, probably strengthened this. And then at the very end I put candle wax, and I don't know if that helped or not, but you know, it's pretty easy to do, so it's worth a shot to do it if you want to try it. But it did come loose after the candle wax, so there you go.